Welcome to the Big Movement Podcast. If you're ready to create results and make huge strides in your business, finances, personal development, and health, then you're in the right place. Pushing past excuses and powering through procrastination can be a challenge alone. Here, you'll get the support, tools, and knowledge you need to get to the level you desire in your business and life. Let's get started with your host, Byron Ingram.
And welcome to another episode of the podcast. Today, we have Bradley Morris, who is a creative entrepreneur who makes magic on the internet and plays professional golf for fun. He works at the Great E-Course Adventure and is revolutionizing online education, and his online meditations have been used by people in over 40 countries around the world. So we're going to learn in how you balance in this whole concept of work, play, and playing golf on a regular basis to live life. So, Bradley, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm really excited to get to hang out for a little while.
Sure, definitely. So how did you get into this thing you called life here, balancing swimming in the ocean and playing golf and helping people online? It's an interesting combination.
Well, I mean, it goes back to, I'm 33 now. It goes back to when I was 20. I moved out west from the east side of Canada to the west coast to pursue professional golf, and I was doing the usual, going to college and training myself to get a job for the rest of my life, and I really couldn't see myself going down that path. And so I dropped out of college and I started my first online business, and my hopes were to make enough money to sponsor myself to play professional golf. And little did I know that entrepreneurship is really hard and it takes a lot of work. And so I ended up taking about 6 years off of playing golf after starting that first business because I just didn't have the time and I didn't have the money. But I kept working at it, and now, 13 years later, playing golf 5-6 days a week. I play Sunrise every day, and I'm playing at least one pro tournament every month, and it's awesome. I work online. I make 90% of my income from online sales, and I've just stuck with it long enough that I figured it out. And I think I reached the point so many times where most people would have quit because things weren't working, and I just kept persisting and kept learning, kept growing, kept going for it.
And that's important that you're doing this, because so many people, they live in this false reality that the moment they decide to venture out, it's going to be instant success. Like, I've done it. I've won the lottery. It's easy street. And it wasn't the case for you.
I had that illusion. I was under that illusion for probably my first, 8 years of entrepreneurship. It wasn't until, I eventually just accepted that it wasn't going to be that this was a long road to success, that it might take me 10 or 20 years to achieve the vision that I thought I was going to achieve in my first year when I became an entrepreneur. And I've had solid successes over the year, and then I've had peaks and valleys, just like any entrepreneur, human for that matter. And I think that's the most beautiful thing about this journey of being an entrepreneur, because it's a journey of self-improvement. This is like the spiritual quest for us. It's constant self-improvement, constant reflection, constant refinement of who I am as a human being and who I am as an entrepreneur and the projects that I'm creating. And so when I stopped being in a hurry to achieve success and I just started enjoying the creative process of building things, that was when everything really changed for me. And I just, everything started clicking a lot more.
So what started clicking compared to being that much like, I got to make this happen now, to versus I'm just going to go along with the ride?
My attitude it changed. Instead of my approach of like having this gotta have it all now anxiety that comes from wanting the instant success, I just approached it like it was a path of self-mastery. And so Where I am now is just a stepping stone on the path, and what I'm creating now is not the big thing. It's like everything was the big thing that was going to make me success in the earlier days, and now I don't put the pressure on things to be the big thing. It's like it's just another thing that I'm creating, and another thing that I'm building to add value to other people's lives. And I think the more we focus on, instead of making the big thing, we focus on providing value for other people and building cool things that we enjoy building, then success it comes a lot more naturally and in its own time. I'm not in a rush anymore.
Well, that changes everything, because you look at the world we live in, where people want the instant gratification instead of focusing on what it needs to happen. Because if you think about it, the person that you must become to have the high levels of success is always different than where you start the journey at.
Yeah, absolutely.
And people don't realize that.
Yeah.
You think about how many people they want the instant gratification. Like, well, no, you just don't go from the ground floor to floor 103 in an instant. There's a process.
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah, I think that's why having a clear vision of who you want to be is such an important part. I mean, the most important part of the journey is knowing who you want to be, because that's going to dictate the choices that you make and the things that you decide to create. And there's just so much that you're going to get out of that that's going to influence how your path unfolds for you.
Oh, exactly. And you think about how many people are not clear on that. You look at the number of individuals that take the Me Too approach, where they might be the quiet and calm person in day to day, and they might watch a few videos by like Gary Vaynerchuk and some others out there. They're thinking, well, if this guy drops F-bombs, I've got to do that too. And people look like, that's not you. So,
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's
you see that all the time.
It's really what this is about. I mean, entrepreneurship, it's what we're creating is an extension of who we are. And so for me, over the years, I look back at my early days. For example, like my first business where I was selling extremely offensive t-shirts online. Like the business was called Man Shirts. It was super degrading stuff. And then I had, a personal transformation, and I started working with teenagers, helping them with their lives. And then we launched a video called The Gratitude Dance, which went viral, and that led to speaking tours and radio shows and all sorts of stuff. And then I got really into meditation, and I led 500 meditation workshops. It was like all of the steps that I've taken, and now what we're doing with the Grady Course Adventure is we're transforming online education by merging it with art and entertainment. And all of these things have just been stepping stones, like one thing after the other, it's all led me to where I am. I've done so many different things in the last 13 years, and because, I'm committed to my own personal growth, and I'm committed to staying true to myself. And if that means like letting the last thing go that I poured my heart and soul into, then that's fine. I'm willing to do that.
I love it that you mentioned, letting go of that last thing, because so many times a challenge entrepreneurs have is they, like yourself, you'll pour in the blood, sweat, and tears to make something happen, but because it's no longer serving you as you're going forward, people don't want to let go, and it's ultimately holding them back. Or there's things that they've done in the past that they just like, but I love this thing. Like, yes, but it's an anchor that's when it calls you to sink. You have to decide what's going to propel you forward, and what are the things that are going to hold you back.
Exactly. And we need to take this type of inventory all the time. I mean, I'm constantly taking inventory, because I'm the kind of guy that I go full steam ahead. And if I haven't taken the inventory to really do an assessment of whether something's the right choice or not, I can get so far off course with where I'm trying to take a project or where I'm trying to go. And that personal inventory of like, is this really what I want to be doing? Is this really what I want to be sharing with the world, and where I'm putting my energy? Because every great idea we have has 1,000 steps, 2,000 steps, like it takes up our time, and this is our one life. And to do something that isn't in alignment with our core values and ultimate vision for our life is just, it can be wasteful, even if there's the potential for good money. I mean, I've done so many projects that I thought were going to pay off, and I did them because I thought they were going to be good money, and every single one of them flopped because the motivation was on money rather than on creativity and service and fulfilling, happiness. I mean, why do we do anything? I think the answer should be happiness. Not future happiness, but happiness right now.
And it's great you say that, because you think about how many people in the world that they go to school for the wrong reasons. Like, oh, people make great money in this career, so I'm going to study that. But they're miserable. And you think about how many people, they don't realize this, and they go through, 30, 40 years of doing it, and they look back and think, well, I was never happy, because they were doing something they never loved, and they did it because it provided a great income, so they're able to have the house they wanted, all these other things, but they were empty on the inside, because every time they woke up, it's like, crap, time to go back to work.
Yeah, that's no way to live. At least not for me.
Oh, no.
No.
It's not a way to live at all, if you think about it. Could you imagine if you had someone said to you, you're going to make $1 million a month, but in doing so, you're going to wake up and you're going to hate life every single day. Would you still want to do it?
It just doesn't sound all that enjoyable for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah. No, because you think about how that affects everything in your life. If you're miserable every single day, you're not looking forward to it, and then you want to go and have fun, you're like, no, I don't want to do anything. Versus that person who wakes up, is excited, gets to do all the things they want to do, and goes through life with enjoyment. It changes everything.
It's so true. So true.
And it's just something we have to focus in on. It's how do we start building a business that allows us that creative freedom to pursue things. Just like you said, like the ventures that you did for going after the money, they all flopped because if things weren't in alignment versus the ones where it's like there's that happiness factor and you're being fulfilled in the process, so you want more of it.
Yeah. Well, I think the most important thing is to design the lifestyle first, and then the business. For me, like I wasn't as conscious of it at the time in my early 20s when I was just starting as an entrepreneur, but I really was designing my lifestyle and then building a business around that. And that had over time, in the beginning, it was really hard. It was really, really hard. I mean, my first several years as an entrepreneur, I made, $15,000, $20,000, which isn't a lot of money to live on, but I lived on it. I lived extremely slim. And I was completely fulfilled. I was so happy. I had a simple living. I had cool roommates. I did my business. I was free. I had so much free time. I mean, I had infinite free time to just work on myself, to work on projects, to figure it all out. And even now, 13 years later, I still have so much time. That is the most valuable asset. I say no to a lot of things so that I can keep all of this time freedom that I have. I still work about 7 hours a day, but it's on things that I really, really enjoy. And I wouldn't trade all of the free time that I have. And for anybody that's overwhelmed or working full time, they're trying to get into entrepreneurship or whatever, my advice would be design your lifestyle and look at your current life. Like, what are your monthly needs? How much stuff do you have? And how could you essentially slim down to the bare minimum so that you have the maximum amount of time, energy, and resources to dedicate to building your vision. If that means like selling everything and starting your reality brand new, then do it. It is so liberating. My wife and I, when we moved into this oceanfront place we're in now, we got rid of 90% of our belongings because we wanted a fresh start. We didn't want to have the heaviness, the burden of all of our stuff. And so we just did it, and it was so liberating. And I think, people based on their current reality say you're working full time and you're trying to do the entrepreneurship thing on the side, like, and you're paying all this money and you eat out for meals and you have expensive taste and stuff. And imagine if you were to just like, oh, I don't actually need all that stuff. Like, it's not actually the thing that's making me happy. It gives me temporary happiness, but what would give you long-term sustaining happiness would probably be to do the thing full time that you really want to be doing. And the easiest way is to simplify your life. I mean, it's all you really it's so simple.
It is. You think about how many people, they use that as a sticking point and say, well, I can't stop what I'm doing now because I have all these expenses. And what I love telling people is you need to identify what is that break free number, where if you're to strip everything that's not necessary away, just like you said, to simplify your life, would you actually need to be able to live on? It doesn't mean like you're eating ramen noodles, every single meal or anything like that, but you're still able to eat healthy, you're doing those things, but you've gotten rid of all the fluff. And it's surprising that the number of people, when they think about it, realize that, oh my gosh, that number is a whole lot lower than what they originally thought.
Yeah.
And the beauty of it is, in terms of that, let's say they have that side hustle in the beginning. Now it becomes a lot more attainable because there's some people say, well, I have to make $10,000 in order to maintain this lifestyle. But then suddenly it's like, well, if you had to just strip out everything else, and it was just what you needed to make sure all your needs are met. So many people, it's like 4,000 to 5,000. It's like, oh my gosh, that's half.
Yeah.
And now they can be able to get there that much faster. And say, well, why do you call it a break free number? It's simple. Because when you achieve that number, well, even if it was doing that in, let's say, 3 hours of work a day, well, now you're freed from working, let's say, that full-time job, and suddenly you have so much more time to do anything else. So if you wanted to double your income, instead of, let's say, doing 3 hours a day, congratulations, work 6.
Yeah.
And you still have a whole lot more of the day to do whatever you wanted.
So much. Yeah. It's amazing what we can do when we just give ourselves the time and the space to sit down with a journal and be just completely and totally truthful about what we truly want with our lives. And then take the action steps necessary every single day to do it. That's it.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, we're on a long-term trajectory. We got a long time on this planet, hopefully. And if not,
right.
at least if we live it the way that we want to design it, and it's a short time, at least we're doing it how we want to do it.
Right. I think that's something important for people to look at when they're going through their day-to-day life. What can you do on a regular basis, daily, ideally, that is part of achieving your ideal lifestyle? What are you doing to work on your business so you can attract the clients that you need, or to create the product that's going to really create the lifestyle that you want? But so many people say, well, I'll do it when I have time. Well, all of us have the same 24 hours every day, so I'm not sure how you're going to get more of it.
Totally.
Because I'd be the first one to I'm pretty sure there's a lot of entrepreneurs that sit and said, I found the secret to creating another 8 hours in a day. Pretty much everyone's hand would be like, cool, I can do this work. But some of us would be thinking, I could go have 8 hours more fun. So,
yeah,
exactly. It's all about how you want to use it.
Yeah. Getting out of that pattern of going on autopilot. It's key.
Oh yeah, you have to get out of that autopilot syndrome because you look at how many people they monotonously go through every single day. Wake up, go to work, yay, go home, go to the bar, and then pass out, start it all over again. And that's their entire life cycle.
And it's tough. I
And
mean, nobody does that on purpose. I think so many people just kind of go through life. You're in a desperate situation. You take a job. You don't know what else to do. And suddenly, a bunch of time goes by and you wake up one day and you realize the pattern that you're in and that your life is something that you don't desire and you don't enjoy. And it takes a lot of courage to start new, to decide doing something else. There's this false sense of security when we have a job, and to take a risk and either go get a new job or move to a new city, or just sell everything and go travel the world or become an entrepreneurship. All these things, it takes courage. And usually when we make those huge identity shifts, we don't get a lot of support from our friends and family. Everybody tells us to rethink it, that we're crazy, whatever. And we have to just trust our guts, to trust ourselves, because we can always go back. If you walk away from your job or whatever, you can always go back. You can always go find another job. You could always, figure it out. It's that moving forward to actually take the risk and take the action. Like, it's so powerful. And the way I look at things is, with taking action, is it's easy to think that, that we want something, and then when we take the action, it's like the universe, every step we take, the universe takes a step towards us, and every step we take is supported by having something else show up for us. But if we don't take the action, we don't get the support. We don't have the synchronicities unfold. Like the next step after this first step can't be revealed because we haven't gone far enough to have it. And so we just have to learn to trust in ourselves and take that action as it's necessary. And sometimes it leads us down a rabbit hole that we didn't intend, and it doesn't feel like the right way, but oftentimes it is the right way.
Oh, it is. And it's a hard thing for people to leave that comfort zone. But you think about the journey people go on, where in their 20s, when they're finishing college, or they may take a little time off after high school, and there's an unbridled enthusiasm for wanting to conquer and take on the world. But what ends up destroying so much of it is someone gets into that first job, like, I'm excited, I'm doing this. And then people start closing in the walls of, oh, well, no, we just need you to do this one thing. And slowly but surely, that wild enthusiasm for taking on every challenge disappears. Mm-hmm. Before you know it, someone's just going into that routine, because they've been turned from this free-flowing thinker into just an automaton filling a role.
Yeah. And I mean, I still get that too. I still get super down, confused, uninspired, all that sort of stuff. I mean, it takes a level of self-awareness and creativity to pull ourselves out of those ruts. 2 weeks ago, I had a whole week where I was just really unmotivated and uninspired and kind of feeling down and sorry for myself and all that sort of stuff. And it took a bunch of journaling. It took a lot of exercise, and just, trusting that it was going to pass, but staying conscious as I was going through it. And, I'm through it. And this week I'm, way more inspired and clear and focused. And it's just, I'm in a completely different space than I was then. And so we do go through those cycles and phases, and we just have to stay with ourselves as we are.
Oh, definitely. We have to. If someone was to say that in any career or being an entrepreneur, it was all bright and sunny, everything's going perfect, oh gosh, that's furthest from the truth. It's just like you had, like, there's times when you're flying high, it's kind of like, this is incredible. And other times, like, well, this sucks. And it's only natural. But the difference is what you do about it. Because if you think of that in that corporate world, it does, sometimes you might be in that rut and you're never getting out of it because it's something that you don't control. Or some might say, well, we just don't think that you're going to be material for the next level. And well, as long as you stay there, because someone's focused on security, that's all there's going to be. Versus as an entrepreneur, you're like, oh my gosh, it didn't go right. Well, you can either just sit there and wallow and do nothing about it, or you get up and do something because you have that ability. That choice is there, where in other cases it might not be.
Yeah, totally.
So, it's just changing those things up, which makes a big difference at the end of the day. Because that's what I think about, it just changes such. So when you're creating that lifestyle and you decide to start focusing on the internet, what is it that your main focus is on today? Because some people are thinking like, how in the world are you playing golf so many times a week? You're doing this fun stuff and able to live by the ocean.
Yeah, so this kind of takes me back to 2011, late 2011. At that point, I had led about 500 meditation workshops in the previous 2 years. I was teaching classes like 4 times a week, and I was led about 5 retreats around the world, and I was in Peru. I had just finished leading a retreat, and I was up in the mountains above Cusco on my own solo few-week journey. And that was when I was like, hey, I'm really burnt out. I don't really want to keep doing this. It wasn't fun anymore. I just did so many in such a short period of time. It wasn't fun. And I wanted more freedom in my life that, I could get back into golf. At that time, I was not playing golf, but all of a sudden I had the desire to play golf again, and I still wasn't making, even though I was teaching so much, I still wasn't making tons of money. I couldn't buy a membership at any of the local courses, so I was going to the park a few times a week and just hitting a golf ball around. That's how I got back into it. And that was when I was like, well, I think I'm going to start creating online courses, because I didn't want to just stop doing the meditation stuff, because I saw how much it impacted people. So I said, well, I was in Peru, I got really clear. I did a bunch of journaling and self-inquiry, and I was like, okay, I'm going to dedicate the next 5 years to, and I said it, 5 years was the number, to just online courses. And I scaled way back the following year in 2012, and I went from teaching, 200 plus meditation workshops a year to maybe 12. And I just focused on building courses. And so, I'm 5 years later now. It's 2017. I'm coming up on the end of the 5th year. Will be November of this year since making that intention. And now my partners and I at eCourse Adventures, or the great ecourseadventure.com, we're essentially transforming online education. And it's just been a path. So I build online courses. I create courses, and we build a community. The Great eCourse Adventure is this super fun journey that teaches other teachers how to build courses, how to sell courses, how to market them, but not just like a boring PDF and PowerPoint presentation kind of courses. We're merging entertainment and art and storytelling, and we're helping teachers develop super engaging courses that you would want to go through, that are enjoyable and interesting and unique and creative. And so we've got a whole online community, and then we've got the course, and we coach people on that. So that's unfolded. Plus I make passive income on all my meditation stuff that I've built over the years. And now we're starting to coach and consult with other companies and teachers who are wanting to develop the kinds of courses that we're building. But it all started with my first course. And after I had the idea that I was going to just do courses, I had no idea how to build courses. I'm not a techie. I was just like, hey, I'm going to learn this thing. And I started filming that very week while I was in Peru for my first meditation course. And one of the days that I was filming, I was sitting there at the retreat space that I was staying at, and I was doing my videos. And after I shot a video, one of the guys that was staying down the road saw me shooting videos. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm making a meditation course. And he's like, I would like to be your first customer. And he reached into his pocket and he gave me $100 US. He gave me a bill, $100 bill. And I was just like, holy shit, I can do this. I'm doing this. I am making money online. And that was before I created anything. And that was, for me, that first sale. I've told this story so many times. That first sale was what changed everything. You know, suddenly I could make money online, and it wasn't just a one-to-one or small workshops that I'd be present with. It was, I could make, you know, I could reach way more people, make way more impact, and make way more money than I can do doing these small workshops and one-on-one sessions with folks. And so, you know, I just focused on it, and that's all I've done. And, you know, over time, I have a couple business partners, and we started producing together and building courses and doing you know, viral videos online and all sorts of stuff. And we just, now we play. Now I've got several media production companies for courses and for entertainment and for marketing and that sort of stuff. And now we're really playing. And I think that's something that was the game changer for me, was when my two buddies, who are now my business partners, we're all kind of doing similar things, but we all have different skill sets. We're all, you know, super creative and super complementary with our creativity. And when we started working together, which, you know, took quite a while, that was when the quality of everything we did, because all of a sudden each of us is doing the thing that we're great at, you know, that we're essentially masterful at. And it was game changing. The quality of everything we did just went to a whole new level. And so I think, you know, having partnerships, people that you trust and that you love and that you enjoy being around, if you can find ways to work together, it's so amazing. And, you know, there's this saying, don't do business with your friends. And I think that's bull, because that's what life is about. You know, to grow and to create with people you care about. Oh, long answer for a short question.
But it's an important thing to think about, because so many people, where they get stuck at is getting started. Just like, you're there in Peru, out in the middle of, well, Peru, and you start shooting a video, and lo and behold, you got a customer. But it came down to taking action upon it more than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And so many people are afraid to do that one thing.
Yeah, so many people are waiting for the universe to deliver, but the universe isn't going to deliver anything if you don't take those first steps. It can't. It's waiting for you.
Right. So when you produced that first course, was it a really big comprehensive course, or was it really targeted? Because some people, they think, I have to produce this big massive course, it must be this epic anthology that goes on for months and months, versus something like, okay, there's 5 videos, watch it.
Yeah, for that one, because I was just learning, I had been recording my meditations once a week for about a year. So I had over 50 tracks that I'd recorded from the meditation circles. They weren't the highest quality at that point, and I would definitely recommend people, if you're starting out, do high quality stuff, you know, especially the audio. But I was just learning. I didn't know any better. And yeah, it was a 40-day meditation course, so there was 10 meditation tracks and 10 videos, and it was a bigger undertaking. And I actually just wrote an article a week or two ago called The Way of the Mini Course. And I really, really believe we're actually doing a challenge in the Great E-Course Adventure community this month for people to create a mini course in a month. I really think mini courses are the way to go, especially when just starting out. Everybody wants to create these enormous courses that they can sell for $1,000 or $2,000 because that's what all the big name people do. And I think with where people are at right now, people are overwhelmed. They have too much information happening. People aren't in a spendy space. And so if you can create a mini course that's lower price, that takes a lot less time, and it teaches a really specific niched skill, then you can do extremely well. I have a client, and in the last year and a half, with a couple of her smaller courses, she's had 100,000 e-course sales. And that's a life-changing thing. She's only making $10 to $40 per course, but that doesn't matter. When you add up the numbers, it's pretty amazing. And so it's one of those things, like, just start small, learn the skills. There's a lot of things you have to know in order to build courses well. And that's why we created the Great E-Course Adventure, was to teach all those things in a really fun and creative way. And so, if you start with a smaller course idea, then you get to go through all of the steps necessary to build your course and to get it online and to start finding people that want to go through it and pay you money. And then if you do that enough times, you're going to do well. And there's this impatience thing. We have a philosophy, and it's, you go to university to, let's just say, get a business degree, and it takes you 4 years to get that degree. Well, everybody, they become this online entrepreneur, and they expect to, have their freedom lifestyle within the first 6 months or whatever. And treat the first 4 years of working full-time on your business like school. Everything is a class. Everything. It's all just a learning experience. And when we treat it that way, we get a lot less attached to the end result of making money and conversions and all that stuff that we can get carried away on, which loses the purpose of why we're doing what we're doing. So, yeah, it's just a different approach, and it's a really nice approach. It works really well with a good lifestyle.
It is. I think that you hit on something really powerful. That's the whole concept of a mini course. You look at the world we live in, where so many people, they don't like to read books because they think, it's taking too long. And you look at the number of people where they've invested thousands of dollars in these big, massive courses, and guess what? They don't finish it. Because there's just too much in there, but they're becoming overwhelmed because there's so much content in there that it's sold as it's the one-stop solution for all your needs. You're going to know everything. Unfortunately, people can't eat that. It's kind of like saying to someone, "Oh, by the way, open wide. You're about to eat an elephant in one motion." It's not going to happen. You can look at it and go, no. But that's what we're doing to people when we have these big, massive courses. We have to look at is how can you provide something that's very tactical. It's a very straight on point. It's solving a specific problem, because then it's easier for someone to master that one thing. And then, oh, by the way, once that's out there, you can create the next one and the next one and the next one. And the good thing is, you kind of think of it as, well, it's like having that big, massive course, but you've broken it down. Instead of being one big one, now you have, let's say, 10 mini courses. And if someone really wants all of it, hey, here's a bundle special. If you buy them all at once, you get it for this price.
Yeah, there's so many ways that we can go about it. And people appreciate the distilled version. We built a website called Courses Worth Sharing. And it's this interactive website experience that teaches people in 20 minutes you learn our philosophies. And it's this really fun interactive website. You have to pull sliders and hit pop-up boxes in order to go through the journey and learn. It's a really, really fun website. And that website, it started out as this really long ebook that we'd written, and we were like, well, would we read an ebook? Hell no, we're not going to read an ebook. So why would we create an ebook? It's not something we would use. So we had the idea to distill it into this website, and instead of the 6 chapters, we created 6 pages on the website, and each page had a specific lesson it was gonna teach. And we spent about a month distilling that ebook so that basically every point from the ebook was turned into a headline. And so we went from a page to a paragraph to a headline. And so the whole website is a bunch of headlines that give you years of experience that we've put into refining our craft to building online courses into a whole bunch of headlines that are delivered in a really fun and creative way. And I think we need to do that. People don't have the time or the attention span to pay attention to a 45 to 60 minute long webinar. Podcasts are a different story because everybody's listening to them while they drive in their cars. I mean, podcasts are a brilliant way to consume media. I listen to at least an hour of podcasts a day. But for courses and for lessons and blogging and all that sort of stuff, we need to be more creative, because there's a saturation point in the whole online media world that we need to get more creative. We need to refine our messages so that people can consume them and get results much faster.
Oh, definitely. We have to do that. I think that's where there's a big disconnect when you look at courses in general. People put so much energy into it, but there's nothing built in there to help someone generate results so they can experience, like, oh my gosh, this worked. And it keeps them motivated to keep moving forward versus, and now in section 2, paragraph 3 of this large course, you're going to learn blank. It loses people.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's the dropout rate for online courses is ridiculously high. I mean, anywhere from 70 to 97% of the people who sign up for a course don't finish, depending on which source you reference. And so that's really high. I mean, if online courses were a university, the university would have been out of business a really, really long time ago because people weren't completing it.
Right. I look at books out there, things I love to read, and some of them, while they're really great, they're these massive volumes. Thinking, did I buy an encyclopedia set because this is a really darn big book?
Yeah.
And I think, like, I'm reading it because I love absorbing knowledge, but I think about the average person out there. Look at a third of the way into the book and realize, okay, I've just read like 110 pages. I'm done. And they stop. Mm-hmm. So, like, when it comes to books, I think, especially for entrepreneurs, they want to position themselves. If it's over about 120 pages, forget it. The average person's not going to read it.
Yeah. Yeah, so sure. I wouldn't.
But people do it.
I rarely read books anymore. Podcasts and audiobooks is where it's at for me for my consuming of information. I mean, everybody's different. I would love to sit down and read books, but I'm a slow reader, so I don't get far fast.
Yeah.
And when I sit down to read a book, I want to read some fiction. I want to read a story.
Right. Well, and the challenge when you look at books and the whole thing when you look at course content is people add way too much fluff. And because I've looked at some books, like this 200-page book could have really been shortened down to about 40 pages. Mm-hmm. So why in the world was there 160 pages of fluff that had no business being in there? Because now, if instead of someone reading it, there's like, it was too long. It just went on and on and on, instead of, oh my gosh, this was impactful. Every page was something valuable, where they kept wanting to read it. And that's what we have to look at in terms of courses. It's what's things of value inside of it, not having like, okay, I'm recording this thing where it's on and on and on. Because for me, like with my personality, I'll tune out. I'll go do something else until it gets to a point where it's like, oh, they said a buzzword that I need to listen to. Otherwise, I'll forget it. I won't pay attention.
Yeah, totally.
Because you think about some webinars. Oh, yeah. You think about like some webinars out there. How many of them were the first 25 minutes they're talking about themselves? Like, I don't care. Get to the point.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's because some guy long time ago when the webinars were kicking off, this is how you create a 6-figure webinar. First, you got to position yourself as the expert, and that means talking about yourself and making yourself sound credible for the first 30 minutes of your webinar. You got to position yourself. It's just so funny. Everything's so formulated and inauthentic these days. And any of the courses or webinars signed up for that go by that formula, I shut off because I'm just like, oh God,
Oh, yeah.
I know where this is going. It's going to a sale, and I don't want to buy what you're selling.
Right. My philosophy is like what I tell people is when you're putting together a webinar, you spend 2 minutes like saying, hey, I just give you a quick 30-second rundown in case you haven't heard of me before. This is who I am. And you know what? I honor your time because it's a commitment to be here. So I would love for you, if you want to know more about me, here, go to my Facebook page. Let's connect there. You can learn everything you want. Or here's the about page on my website. So let's dive in. That's about the extent of it.
Yeah, totally.
Because why try to distill this lifetime like, and then at age 7 I did this? Who cares? So
yeah,
people are there to learn something. So like, why not add more value to what you're putting in there instead of this anthology? That's my word of the podcast, anthology, for your material.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, one of the things, and hopefully this is helpful for people, when we built the Great E-Course Adventure, our original course on building courses was called the E-Course Creation Blueprint. And a couple years ago, we were going to spend a 2-week kind of, Andy, my business partner, lives in Hawaii. I live up in Canada. He came up for 2 weeks, and we were going to redesign the whole course and do a bunch of improvements. And before we got into it, we're standing on a mountaintop near my house, and we're brainstorming all of the content that we were going to create, and asked him, would you have purchased our course? If you found it, say, 3 years ago when you're looking for this type of information, would you have bought it? Would you have gone through it? And he was like, no. I was like, me neither. And we realized this was a really big problem, that we're building something that we wouldn't have purchased. It wasn't because the content wasn't good, the value, everything was there. And so we spent the next 24 hours, we pulled an all-nighter from that moment on, and we started brainstorming what would have inspired us to buy and finish a course. What would we have paid $1,000 for because it was so good at a time when we didn't have a ton of money to be spending $1,000 on a course. And so we designed our whole course from those questions. And we were like, well, it'd have to be really fun. It'd need to be entertaining. It would have to be a work of art. It would have to be really fun and creative to build. It would need to be a world unto itself. It would have to have really cool people that are in the community. And then the word popped into my mouth, and I was like, well, it would need to be a great e-course adventure. And so we just started to go with that. Like, what is a great e-course adventure? And we've essentially built a world from that whole brainstorming session. And it took us 9 months of full-time work to produce and create the online platform, because it's absolutely incredible what we've managed to do. But it was the funnest thing that I've ever worked on in my life. And I think that's something to really think about for people that are getting into entrepreneurship, or you're working on a project, is to build things that you yourself would purchase. Because, if you don't believe in your product fully, and I see this all the time with people building online courses, it's like, yeah, they're just putting it out there, but, if you ask them, do you like what you're creating? And most of them feel embarrassed about it. And if you're putting work out that you're embarrassed about rather than work that you feel so proud of, there's a different vibe behind it. You're not going to feel comfortable marketing it. You're not going to put yourself out there and try and get in front of as many people as you can. There's a different vibe. Whereas if you're truly proud of what you're doing, it just comes across totally different, and you're going to have way more success building your following.
Right, exactly. You have to be proud of it. And I think you hit it on the head there, that you asked yourself that important question: would you buy your own course? And so many people, they never ask that question. It's like, well, no, I don't care about buying it myself. I wrote it. I just want to sell it, which is the wrong attitude.
Yeah. Yeah, if you can build something that you would purchase, I mean, that's the ticket. Building something you truly actually believe in, something that you would need. And I listen to the Tim Ferriss podcast a lot, and all these successful billionaire entrepreneurs who've built amazing businesses, many of which are household names for all of us. They built those businesses because they were scratching their own itch. They were building something that they wanted for themselves. And if you build something that you want for yourself and you don't see anything that's as good or creative or whatever that you would want to buy, then build that, and do it for you. And chances are, if you do it for you, there's going to be a lot of people out there that will want it too. And you won't be looking for approval from the world. Hey, I'm building this thing. Do you like it? I hope you like it because I'm building it. And whereas if you're building something that you want, you're like, hey, I built this really cool thing and I love it. And this is how I use it in my life. And this is why it's so valuable. It's just a totally different thing. Same thing with my online meditations. I mean, I was recording those to improve my own practice at one point and just started sharing them. And so, yeah, what is something that you want that you could build better than anybody else? And it's a fun way to approach your entrepreneurial game.
And that is powerful for that purpose. So as we begin wrapping things up here, what's one thing you recommend entrepreneurs and people do if they're deciding that they want to create a course? What should they really be doing to make it successful?
What should they do to make it successful? I mean, honestly, not to toot our own horn, but go through a couple of our free mini courses. The coursesworthsharing.com website. That's going to show you a completely different approach to building courses that you're not going to see anywhere on the internet. And it'll take you 20 minutes. Before doing anything, go through that so that you can have a really unique perspective before you start building content. The other thing to ensure your success is to focus on the success of your students. That is the number one priority. Conversions are nothing if people are not completing your course. And so your whole mission and purpose is to create the best student learning experience you possibly can. There is nothing else, sales pages, whatever, marketing funnels, who cares? The most important thing is your student's success. If you create a course that transforms somebody's life or helps them effectively learn a new skill, they're going to tell everybody. That's the bottom line. They're going to tell their friends. They're going to see somebody on Facebook say, hey, I need this. And they're like, oh, I just finished this course. It was amazing. Here, check it out. Everybody's going to do the talking for you. And that's the name of the game. So if you want to succeed, help people succeed. It's simple.
That's awesome. I think it's something where people forget about that simple lesson in life, that the more people you help succeed, the faster you're going to succeed.
Yeah, it's so true. I see it all the time with people who are building their big successful online courses, and they kind of posture themselves so they're untouchable, unreachable, unavailable to their students. And for us, with the Great E-Course Adventure, we're active, we're in the community, we're supporting our students. We'll make time in our schedule for, if we're seeing somebody who's showing a lot of potential and they're working hard and we see that they could use a little extra support to take it to the next level, we'll offer that to them. We're not going to charge them $25,000 for a mastermind. We're just going to pick up the phone and call them and let's hop on a call and do some brainstorming. We've got some ideas for you. And I think that,
Right.
real human touch and being a real human and understanding what it's like to be a beginner again and, genuinely caring about the people who have paid you money. I think I think that's going to be one of the things that makes us do really well in the coming years, is because that's how we approach our business. We're not trying to posture ourselves as these, big successful millionaires that don't have time for you unless you pay us $50,000. It's not the case. If we can create the time, we will, and otherwise we'll see you in the community forum and we'll help you there.
Right. It's so great that you say that as we're winding these things up, because I see so many people that they might build a great community, build something there, but because as their success increases, they lose that sense of touch, that sense of connection to what got them started. And then you see the engagement in their community start to dwindle away because the key thing is missing, that they're the catalyst and people come there to connect with the person. But when you're not there, it all falls apart.
Mm-hmm.
So it's great that you're actively engaged in the community and providing value consistently, because that's what people are investing with you for in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah, they see your videos, they see your work, and they want to work with you.
Right, exactly. So how can people learn more about the great e-course adventure and everything that you're doing to help people with producing amazing courses?
The best place is at thegreatecourseadventure.com, all one word, and you go onto the homepage there of the course. You can see the course. We have a free 14-day trial for our community, which includes weekly coaching, as well as the course. And then you can also sign up for our free trainings there, and we do regular blogs every week. We write different articles and case studies and that sort of thing. And we also will have a podcast coming out soon, depending on when this is released. Probably September of 2017 it'll be released. And there was something else. What was the other thing? Oh, we do a weekly, it's called Beyond the Blueprint, and we basically we curate the top 5 resources, articles, podcasts, interviews, that sort of stuff that are in the space of innovation and creativity in the e-learning space. We curate that email and we send it out every Friday. It's just 5 quick, simple points that, can send you down some fun rabbit holes. So, yeah, we have lots going on to support people that want to build courses.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I want to thank you once again for coming onto the podcast today and sharing a wealth of wisdom about producing amazing e-courses that are fun and exciting, and they're not plain and dull and boring like so many are out there in the world.
I hope people follow in these footsteps. I really think, education is an incredible way to transform the world. And if we can build online courses right, I think we can do a lot of good on this planet.
Oh, definitely. Awesome. So thank you once again.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thanks for listening to the Big Movement Podcast today. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Now that you've surely been inspired to take your entrepreneurial career and business to the next level, you can stop by the website and get more. And if you're ready to boost your business brand, be sure to grab your free report, 7 Easy Steps to Build Your Brand Today.